Good morning. We'll give just a moment to clear the waiting room and make sure that folks have connected to audio. As a reminder, when you are entering from the waiting room, please do remain on mute unless or until you are testifying before the board.
Morning.
Morning. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Waiting room is cleared. Good morning, all. This is a hearing before the licensing board for the city of Boston. Today is Tuesday, July 9th, 2024. Today's hearing is being held pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. Today's hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman of the Board, Kathleen Joyce.
Thanks, Danny. Good morning. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm Chair of the Boston Licensing Board. Today, I'm joined by my fellow commissioners, Commissioner Kiana Saxon and Commissioner Liam Curran.
Thank you. Please ensure that your audio and visuals are working properly. I will call each item in the order that it appears on this morning's agenda. I will then ask who is present on behalf of the licensee, who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department, and whether there are any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify. I will then swear in all parties. After that, the police report will be read into the record, and the licensee or their representative will have the opportunity to make a brief statement, followed by questions by the chair and the commissioners. All testimony will be limited only to those individuals with firsthand personal knowledge of the alleged incident. Begin with the first item on this morning's agenda, calling item number 1, ATG Inc. doing business as Cleary's, located at 331 to 335 Columbus Ave. Date of the incident, December 17th, 2023. Assault and battery, employee on patron in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. And uncooperative with police in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.10A and B. The board may recall it had previously heard this matter on April 30th and requested a second hearing to allow for the participation of an employee witness to the incident. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Derek Kerbels, General Manager. I'm just waiting for for Bill Burke to get on. I'm just not seeing
I'm here.
Okay, here we go.
Yep, sorry, I'm having some issues, but I finally got unmuted. I can't find my photograph though to get the camera working here, and I apologize.
No worries, Attorney Burke, and I just asked you to start video, so you may see something pop up on your screen. There we go.
All right, so here I am. Thank you.
Yep, Attorney Burke, and we have Mr. Kerbels with us. Any other witnesses on your behalf?
Mr. Santos, Daniel Santos, I think is present. Daniel, can you confirm you're here, please? Daniel, can you unmute?
Is Daniel Santos the gentleman under iPhone?
Yes, I believe that's
iPhone.
that him, Derek?
Yes.
Yeah, with the eyeglasses. Yeah.
There we go, Mr. Santos. I've asked you to unmute.
Hello. Are you guys hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you very much. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Aziz or Officer Allen were summons if they're not here. Lieutenant Detective Troy.
Thank you, Lieutenant Detective. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
None for us, but I'd note that Maggie Roberts is on board as well with me, Mr. Green, and Commission.
Thank you. We see Attorney Roberts as well. Can you all please raise your right hand? Mr. Santos, there we go. Mr. Santos, can we see your right hand raised, please? Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, Lieutenant Detective Troy. If you could please read the police report back into the record for us.
Reading from police report written on December 17, 2023 by Sharonda Allen. It reads as follows: about 11:42 on Sunday, December 17th. Officer Allen responded to a radio call for a fight at Cleary's at 111 Dartmouth Street, Boston. Also assisting on the call were other officers from District 4 and Sergeant Aziz. On arrival on scene, officers spoke to Patrick Doherty, the victim, who stated that he had been just in the bar standing when he had noticed his friend being attacked by a bouncer. The victim stated, that's Mr. Doherty, stated that he attempted to intervene when he was placed in a chokehold by another bouncer identified as Brandon Carr. The victim stated that he was then dragged out of the bar. Also on scene was Benjamin Lawrence, who was a witness to the incident. Officer Allen also spoke with the suspect, that would be Mr. Carr, who initially refused to give his name and date of birth to the officer while on scene. Officers were able to obtain the suspect's information from the manager, Derek Cerilis, who was also on scene. The suspect stated that he was trying to clear the walkway in the club when he tapped on the shoulder of the victim, requesting he clear the way. The suspect stated that the victim then punched him in the face and scratched his neck. There was a small cut on the suspect's face and his upper lip. They all declined medical attention on scene. Licensed premise inspection was conducted by Sergeant Aziz. Violations were employee on a patron assault, and bouncer refused to give his name and date of birth. A copy of the violation was given to the manager on scene. That's the extent of the police report.
Thank you, Lieutenant Troy. Attorney Burke, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, thank you. We were requested, as I understand, by the board to come back because Mr. Santos was not available on the prior date. We were requested to provide a copy of our employee manual, which we have done. Mr. Santos also provided an affidavit, and with the board's permission, I would go forward and just ask him a few questions unless the board wished to do so itself.
You can go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Santos, are you employed by Cleary's in Boston here?
Yes,
What's your role?
I'm a barback.
Okay. And on the night in question, were you in fact employed as a barback at Cleary's?
Yes,
And as a barback, a part of your duties to secure ice and provide it to the bar and the various bars throughout the premises?
yes,
Okay. And on the night in question, did you have occasion to do so in the area where the altercation subsequently occurred?
so the story is, so the bouncers usually they help me to pass with the supplies to the bar.
Why is
because-
that? Why do they do that?
Because I need to go through the crowd and I'm not a really tall guy, so they help me out to open the way for me when I'm passing with stuff that I'm carrying in my hands.
Okay, and at that time, what were you carrying in your hands?
I was carrying 2 buckets of ice, one in
Okay.
each hand.
And was Mr. Carr the security person that assisted you getting through the crowd on the night in question?
Yes,
Okay. Did you observe how he asked people to move out of your way so you could pass through with these heavy buckets of ice?
yes.
What did he do?
Usually he starts like going through sometimes flashing lights just to people know that is workers that are passing, so they just let them know, because usually when people notify that we're bouncers or we're barbacks or stuff like that, they usually they open the way and we're passing with stuff.
All right.
Yes.
And did you have any difficulty passing through once he made arrangements with people that were on the floor to get by?
No. So he was opening the way, and then I saw a path that was easier, so I went around him, and then I went to the bar, and then I didn't see what happened after that.
Did you hear a commotion at some point in time once you got to the bar to dump the ice?
So I went to the bar and I dumped the ice, and then I looked back and was like some weird movements. People were like circling around, and then I saw he was getting attacked by a guy that he was grabbing him by the back, and 2 guys were throwing him punches. And then I went.
When you say him, Mr. Santos, who are you referring to?
The bouncer, I forgot his name, but it's
Mr. Carr?
yes, exactly. Yep.
Okay. What did you do, if anything, when you saw this?
So I went through the crowd and I grabbed another security, another bouncers, and then they took care of the situation.
Did you tell him there was a problem and to go in and deal with that?
Yes,
Okay. Did you at any time get involved with the altercation between these individuals?
no,
Did you at any time see Mr. Carr strike anyone?
no,
Did you see Mr. Carr struck by anyone?
yes.
By whom?
I don't know. So it was three kids. It was one was grabbing him by the back, and another two was in his front punching him.
Okay.
Yeah, and
All right.
grabbing him by the shirt.
And once the altercation was over, did you have anything more to do with this?
No.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. I'll turn Mr. Santos over to the lieutenant or to the commission.
Thank you. Did you have any questions for Mr. Kerbels or was that
Well,
the conclusion of your presentation, Attorney Burke?
My understanding was Mr. Kerbels has already testified in the matter, said he was upstairs at the time, was remote. He came back down. He provided the full information to the Boston Police as it should have been provided by Mr. Carr. Mr. Carr was subsequently terminated as a result of this incident and his failure to behave appropriately. We do have controls in place. Cooperation with the Boston Police Department is clearly outlined in our employee manual. So I have nothing further from Mr. Kerbels either.
Thank you. We'll see if there are any questions from the board then at this time. Chairwoman Joyce, any questions?
Attorney Burke, I was just looking at your employee handbook. Can you point me to the section of the book that talks about cooperation with the police or de-escalation or security and safety measures? I don't see much. I don't see anything.
I'm going to look for some assistance from my associate, Ms. Roberts. I don't have that right here in front of me. I know it has been provided, and I know that we have worked that over for the client over the years to include, obviously, contacting police at any time there's an issue and fully cooperating with the police. But Maggie, are you able to locate that?
Yes, I'm taking a look at the prior email correspondence sent, and it looks like language regarding cooperation with authorities is on page 34 of the employee handbook.
Thank you. And we would, of course, welcome any suggestions or orders essentially from the board if there's something more we could be doing.
Let me just do a quick word search because I can't see anything. That's
You know what? I just pulled it up.
I
and
see it, yeah. All employees, whether front or house or back of house, must cooperate with the police department or any representative from a government or regulatory agency, including local liquor control board and or ABCC. Failure to cooperate with the police will not be tolerated. So can someone from management or staff explain to me, how do you go over this with your employees?
Derek?
Yep. So regularly, I mean, especially with the security, as you know, they're the ones that would have to deal with anything that's going to be coming outside. But also with any of the other staff, we basically just let them know, you know, the cops are here to help us. You know, they're here, they're not here to, you know, it's not, you know, we're trying to de-escalate these situations and just make sure you cooperate with them. Otherwise, it's not going to be tolerated if anything like that happens.
And they're aware that they would be terminated if.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have anything in here that addresses de-escalation or any other document that you train your security staff about de-escalation?
De-escalation is regularly brought up in their initial steps into employment. And I have in the past provided seminars, if you will. We have videos, we have information that's imparted. And essentially it is to engage in de-escalation where, you know, at the first appropriate moment, touching and getting involved physically is only a matter of health and safety. And so that's emphasized in the intake, if you will, for the employees.
Okay. And so it's fair to say that if it's determined that someone fails to cooperate with police, they would be terminated. I know it's that, but
It is fair to say, and as occurred in this instance, Mr. Carr was terminated for his failure to cooperate with the Boston Police Department specifically.
all right, thank you. I appreciate you coming back today. This wasn't clear at the last hearing. Commissioner Saxon or Commissioner Curran, do you have any questions?
Maybe just for clarification, Mr. Santos, the way I'm hearing is you didn't see the beginning of the incident. Your attention was drawn to it after it presumably began, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you said there was 3 people, but do you know out of those 3 people who would have been the alleged victim from the police report? Are you familiar with that?
No.
Okay. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
No questions from me, thank you.
And just one last question. Is there any video of this?
No, I think we went over that. That went over it the last time. There was a loose cable for some reason. Their monitoring was available, but the recording was not occurring. That has been rectified, and there are measures in place now to make sure that those cords, I think it was frayed, and to make sure that they've been replaced and everything is being recorded appropriately.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no further questions from the board, then the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you for coming back on this matter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you. Calling item number 2, Big Night Venues Boston 2 LLC, doing business as Empire, located at 1 Marina Park Drive. Date of the incident, March 3rd, 2024. Assault and battery on premise, employee on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Madam Chair, Attorney Green, members of the board. Kristen Scanlon for the licensee. Also for the licensee is Charlie Kane, who is the Director of Security.
Thank you. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Detective Sean Flynn, District C6 is present.
Thank you, Detective. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Police Officer Seth Stoltz. I wrote the police report. Good morning, sir.
Morning. Thank you, Officer Stoltz. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report into the record? Would that be Officer Stoltz?
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, actually, my apologies. I'm actually on the detail, so I don't have access to the police report right now. So I apologize for that.
I can read it into the record if that is helpful.
That would be great. Thank you, Detective.
Thank you, Detective.
Does the commission prefer the original report or my supplement detailing the follow-up investigation, or both?
Both, please.
Just give me a second, please. About 2 a.m. on Sunday, March 3rd, 2024, Officer Stoltz in the Fox 411 Alpha unit responded to an assault and battery at 1 Marina Park Drive, South Boston, the Empire. Assisting units, Fox 422 Alpha Palon, Fox 602 Alpha Hamilton, Fox 915 Sergeant Quinby, Alpha 93 Chiao, Tregelia, and Avia. Upon arrival, officers noticed that EMS was on scene treating the victim, later identified as Claudia Mata. Immediately after officers had arrived, the victim was whisked away and transported to Tufts Medical Center by A93 Avia, Chio, and Tregelia because of a head injury. After such, officers met with the general manager, Ryan Tobin, who was also the 911 caller, who explained that there was an altercation at the restaurant. One of the employees, later identified as Roland Kentish, was working as a security bouncer. The general manager explained that the employee left the property and would return back to speak with officers about the assault and battery. While awaiting the return of the employee bouncer, officers were then approached by a group of females and males. The group of females and males were friends with the victim. The group explained to officers that they witnessed the bouncer knock over the victim into a table, causing her to hit her head. The group went into details and explained that they observed a male who they did not know push through the exiting crowd of patrons, which triggered the altercation. During the mishmash and conundrum, the group explained that the bouncer attempted to identify one of the male parties that was causing the disturbance. This male party had no affiliation or relationship to the group and was a patron causing the disturbance. According to the group, that bouncer misidentified the male party who was initially causing the disturbance. Group went on to explain that the victim was caught up in the mix and invariably ended up being knocked down by the bouncer. Officers were able to speak with the bouncer, who explained his version of events. Bouncer explained that while he was attempting to break up a potential fight, a group of 10 to 12 females and males became irate and attempted to intervene with the fiasco. Bouncer explained that during the fiasco, the victim was pushed out of the way to maintain order. Officers then traveled to Tufts Medical Center to speak with the victim. The victim was intoxicated and was unable to provide any additional information. The Fox 915 arrived on scene and issued a licensed premise citation. C6 detectives were notified. Would you like me to continue into my supplemental report?
We actually do not have that supplemental, I don't believe, in the packet that was provided to the board.
Okay. Do you want me to read it into the record? No.
It has not been provided to the licensee, nor has it been provided to the board.
Okay.
So with that, we can ask questions about the remainder of the incident, but I don't believe we can read that into the record this morning.
Attorney Green, just for the record, we do have a copy of it.
Oh, do you?
We
Okay.
received it from the board, so.
Thank you. It's not in the packet I'm looking at right now. So in that case, Detective Flynn, if you could please read that into the record, and we'll make sure we get a copy of that as well for the board to reference.
Okay. At about 0200 hours on March 3rd, 2024, officers assigned to C6 responded to a radio call for an assault at the Empire Restaurant and Lounge located at 1 Marina Park Drive in the Seaport section of the city of Boston. On that date, the reporting victim, Claudia Mata, was transported to the Tufts Medical Center for treatment after being thrown to the ground and striking her head. Members of Miss Mata's group stated that a bouncer had thrown her on the ground after attempting to remove another patron from the establishment. The bouncer was identified on that date by Empire staff and the responding officers as Mr. Roland Kentish. On March 8th, 2024, Detective Flynn sent a request to Miss Jillian Kling of Big Night Entertainment in an attempt to obtain video footage of the incident. On March 11th, 24, Miss Kling sent the detective the relevant video footage for review. The video shows Mr. Kentish walking toward a group of males and females, and he appears to be fixated on one male in the group. Two females then step in front of Mr. Kentish in an apparent attempt to dissuade him from removing their acquaintance. Mr. Kentish is then observed to push the two females out of his way, causing them to both fall to the ground. One of these females is Miss Claudia Mata, and the second female was later identified as Miss Kelly Cano. Additional Empire staff can then be observed on video to assist, and they lead Mr. Kentish away from the immediate area. On March 8th, 24, Detective Flynn spoke with Miss Kelly Cano via telephone. Miss Cano reported that Miss Mata was currently out of the country, but did wish to pursue the matter legally upon her return. Miss Cano also identified herself as a victim during this conversation, stating that she too had been thrown to the ground at the same time as Miss Mata. On March 27, 24, Detective Flynn spoke with Miss Mata. Miss Mata again reported that she was thrown to the ground by the bouncer, but was unsure why. Miss Mata conceded that she was intoxicated at the time, but reported that she was thrown on the ground and struck her head, requiring medical attention. On March 27, 24, I spoke with Mr. Roland Kentish, the Empire bouncer involved in the incident, via telephone. Mr. Kentish reports that he was attempting to remove a male party that had been involved in a prior altercation, but as he did so, two females stepped in front of him to prevent him from doing so. Mr. Kentish stated that there was no intent or malice on his part to hurt anyone, that he was simply trying to move them away from his path so that he could do his job. Mr. Kentish stated that another employee then intervened and led him away. Subsequently, Mr. Kentish was terminated from Empire due to this incident. Based upon the following, the victims reported the incident, the statements of Mr. Kentish acknowledging his involvement, the fact that Mr. Kentish was identified on the night of the incident by Empire staff and the responding officers, and the video which captures the entirety of the interaction, and was provided by Big Night Entertainment. I ended up seeking a clerk magistrate's hearing in South Boston District Court for 2 counts of assault and battery against Mr. Kentish. That is actually scheduled for July the 25th. That will be heard. I will just say, Mr. Kentish was contrite over the incident, and he said again, obviously, as I read, that he had no intention of trying to hurt anyone. He was just kind of caught up in the moment. So.
Thank you, Detective Flynn. Attorney Scanlon, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, thank you. Detective Flynn, throughout your follow-up investigation of this alleged incident, was licensed premises employees and staff cooperative with you?
Yes.
Thank you. And similarly, Officer Stultz, during your visit to the licensed premises establishment the evening of the alleged incident, was staff cooperative with you?
Yes.
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, Charlie Kane, who's the Director of Security, is online with us and can testify to the internal investigation of this incident in a few moments. But as far as the timeline is concerned, and as I believe the police report relatively states, this incident happened quickly. There were no issues at all prior in the evening with any patron involved in this incident. It occurred close to closing time at approximately 1:45. As the board will see from the video, the lights were already up. As per policy, they had already stopped serving. From start to finish, the entire incident happened in a little over 3 minutes. When you review the video, you'll see that a male walked past another male in order to retrieve his jacket from a booth, and he slightly bumps into one of the males who was involved in the initial altercation that the subject security officer broke up. A few minutes later, the other male bumps into a man that he thinks was the one that initially bumped in, and it appears a verbal exchange ensues. At that point in time, Security Officer Kentish was standing by and immediately responded by separating the parties because a physical altercation had started. During this initial altercation, you'll see that Security Officer Kentish is knocked to the ground. The initial male aggressor is thereafter removed from the venue within 20 seconds, and about a minute later, Security Officer Kentish attempts to remove the remaining members of the altercation when a couple of females begin flailing their hands in his face, causing him to push them away. When that happens, the female does fall to the ground. And then within 30 seconds, Security Officer Kentish is removed from the area while management and security de-escalate the situation and render aid to the female. By way of background, Mr. Kentish worked for the licensed premises for over 2 years, on average 3 nights a week. There was never any issue with him prior. If they had any reason to believe that he couldn't keep his composure, he wouldn't have had the role for the duration that he had it in. Upon hiring, he did participate in their mandatory use of force and de-escalation training, as all new hires do within the first 30 days of employment. And he also participated in a secondary follow-up training in May of 2023. In this particular instance, he was involved in a volatile situation where, as I indicated, he was knocked to the ground immediately prior and frankly should have tapped out of the situation per licensee policy, which Mr. Kane can elaborate on in a few moments, but unfortunately he didn't do that at this time. When the females thereafter injected themselves in the situation and got in his face when he returned, as the police report stated, he didn't intend to harm, but was overly aggressive in attempting to remove the females from his path and could have handled the situation better. The licensee is not only proactive in these instances and has been for 11 years. They've been in operation with proper training, repetitiveness of training, but reactive as well. In this situation, unfortunately, they can't always control human behavior or what's going to make someone react in a certain way or overreact. But frankly, this licensee has a strict line that you cannot cross as an employee. It's imperative to follow the rules of engagement, and they have a zero tolerance policy, not disciplinary action, zero tolerance policy for violating those rules of engagement. So as a result of this incident, he was suspended immediately and upon investigation was ultimately terminated, as the police reports indicated. And to emphasize again, this wasn't an employee that was here for 2 weeks or 2 months or 9 months. He was here 2 years regularly and on their busiest nights. He'd been involved in several de-escalation incidences over those years and never gave rise or cause for concern. As far as the rest of this incident goes, the other employees did exactly what they were supposed to do in this situation, removed him from the situation, further de-escalated it. The licensee cooperated with police. They were the ones that called 911 to address the situation. And as the police report states, assisted in getting Mr. Kentish, who had left the premises, back to the premises to further cooperate with police. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Kane, if I may, who can discuss the internal investigation further and their training policies and procedures.
Good morning, thank you. Just on the training, as Attorney Scanlon stated, the initial training is immediate with our manual, which is on file with the board. It's approximately 35 pages, which does go over the use of force, de-escalation, notifying police, hospitality, etc. 5 to 7 pages just on those topics. So everyone goes through that prior to the start of their work. And then we have another program that we started back in 2019, where I hired a retired Mass State Police Sergeant who created a program unique to hospitality and nightclubs for de-escalation training and use of force to certify us and work on the hospitality. It's a hands-on program that Captain Boyle from the district has attended. We hold it constantly throughout the year, and it's mandated for every employee to attend. I think it's one of the only ones in the city or the state. We actually have this. So Roland had been in it twice, so he knew the rules of engagement. I think on that night, obviously something triggered something that, as Attorney Scanlon said, is outside our control. I feel we train and give the employees the tools to work safely, but in the end, we can't control their reaction sometimes or their behavior. In the video, you will see that my security supervisor, Michael Rodriguez, immediately came in, tapped out. That's basically removing an officer that's involved in a volatile situation. And he de-escalated the situation immediately, getting Roland out of that area. He called 911. EMS was called. You can see in the video, management is rendering first aid prior to EMS getting there. So I feel like we did all the proper things that the board looks for as far as handling it quickly. As Attorney Scanlon said, there was nothing to show that this situation was going to happen. It's just somebody walking past, somebody pushed them. Mr. Kentish was right there, immediately reacted, came back in, was flailed in the face by the females, overreacted. And we have a zero tolerance policy. So after I reviewed this and spoke with the police, we immediately terminated him and separated him from the company. And as Attorney Scanlon said, he worked for us for 2 years and we did not have any issues with them. So it was unforeseen that this issue would have happened. So, and then just to go on our training, we have the security officers come in 30 minutes every night prior to this shift. And we train what we call a pre-shift training, and it's management or a member of my team, one of my directors or security supervisor will go over use of force, de-escalation, hospitality, what's going on that night. So they know also that if there is an issue of an ejection or any type of police action, to immediately notify the police and notify the manager on duty. And this is done, like I said, every shift prior. We have a 30-minute pre-shift and we go over all these topics. That's all.
Thank you. Yep, thank you. Attorney Scanlon, anything further before we move to questions?
Nothing further at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Turn it over to the board to see if there are any questions. Chairwoman Joyce.
No questions, just a request, if you could send us some sort of guideline to watch for watching the video. Can't quite find what you're describing in the video that we have in our folder.
Yes, Madam Chairman, I have it. Chairwoman, I have it time stamped for you explaining it, and I can send that immediately after this hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kern, Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
I guess just regarding the video, Attorney Scanlon, you talked about it taking approximately 3 minutes. So that includes the time that he was pushed down, right?
Yes. Yes, it does.
And so how long between the time he's pushed down and the gap between that and when he comes in contact with the two victims?
I can testify. I'm looking at the timeline right now, sir. It is the initial physical altercation is at 1:46:52, and then the second interaction is at 1:48:30. So it's a little over a minute, like
Okay.
20 seconds. I will send the exact timeline. I have it all documented.
Okay, and are there any other security people in the area witnessing this, or should they have been there, that kind of thing? Like, what can you say to that?
As Attorney Scanlon testified and I testified, it happened very quickly. That was his area of responsibility. He removed that patron. If you see in the video, the lights are on, it's closing time, people were exiting. There was another security officer who comes over, who's over by the DJ booth, and is there immediately also. So it happened so fast that he got the aggressor out of the building. And then when he was telling the door staff that he needed and got on the radio, he got there first, and then security supervisor and security were there within a second.
Okay, so he leads out he's pushed down, he leads out the aggressor. Does he leave frame?
Yes, he goes towards the front door.
Okay, and then he comes back to the same area, right? It's all one angle? The video?
Yes, correct.
All right, and in the time that he goes off frame and comes back, are there other security members in the area?
One is overcoming, dealing with another issue and heading over. If you see it happen so fast, the aggressor, the two females, there wasn't 12 people involved. I think there's 2 or 3 females and 1 male party. It really wasn't a conundrum or a mishmash. If you look at it, it's 4 or 5 people that are there. And when Roland comes back, it's just the 3 females, 2 that get involved, and the 1 male. So once he got the person out, it looked like nothing was going on. So until he notified the door staff and the supervisor that this guy was being removed for being in an altercation. Nothing else was going on. Still don't know why these 2 had an altercation, except that the aggressor pushed the unknown male for no reason, basically.
Okay. I guess the last relevant thing, I mean, I've watched the video, but is there anything in the video that indicates any kind of level of threat at the moment that he comes back, in the time that he comes back? Can you see anything, or did he say anything about the level of perceived threat that was still ongoing at that time, where he would still be in a mode where he needs to like push through these women to get to another person?
No, I agree with you. I believe that's one of the reasons he was terminated. I feel like he came back in an aggressive manner to a situation that was de-escalated.
Okay.
He had taken out the aggressive party, and when he came back in an aggressive manner.
Yeah, I haven't seen the video, so I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
You got
Yeah, no, he came back, and like I said, if you watch the video, after he gets the aggressor out, it looks like nothing happened or nothing's happening. Everyone's just standing around talking. Then he comes back in.
All right, thank you.
So, and that's one of the reasons he was terminated.
Nothing additional, thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement, and please do forward the video with relevant timestamps. We'll make sure that is forwarded to the board.
Yes.
Thank you. Calling item number 3, 1928 Beacon Hill LLC, doing business as 1928 Beacon Hill, located at 97 Mount Vernon Street. Date of the incident, April 20th, 2024. Premise operating after posted 11 p.m. closing. Patrons inside the premise at 12:25 a.m. with music on, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
My name is William Richards. I represent Christian Jenkins, the licensee. Christian Jenkins is also here.
I'm here as well.
Thank you. I do see you both. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I am Detective Hernandez.
Thank you, Detective. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, if need be.
Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Detective Hernandez, if you could please read the police report into the record for the board.
Yes, good morning, sir. Reading from a police report I wrote on Saturday, April 20th, 2024, at about 12:25 p.m. Sergeant Detective Gallagher. I'm sorry, that's a typo. It should say a.m. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to the BPD License Premise Unit, conducted license premise inspection of 1928 Beacon Street. 1928. Detectives were there regarding a noise complaint that had been made through the city's 311 complaint line. The complaint stated that the establishment was operating beyond its closing time and playing loud music, disturbing the neighbors. As detectives walked up to the establishment, detectives could hear music coming from inside the establishment and noticed patrons still drinking alcoholic beverages. Detectives were aware that the establishment common victual license stated that the restaurant was closed at 11 p.m. with all patrons out by 11:30 p.m. Detectives brought this to the attention of the person in charge, Mr. Maxwell Carras, who immediately had the patrons exit the establishment. As a result of what detectives discovered, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license plate inspection notice 021067 to premise for operating after posted 11 p.m. closing time. Mr. Carras signed for an acceptable notice. That's all.
Thank you very much. Attorney Richards, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, I would. On April 20th, 2024, first of all, Kristen Jenkins is the owner of 1928 Beacon Hill, which is located on Mount Vernon Street. On that date, April 20th, 2024, Kristen Jenkins, she volunteers her time in the Beacon Hill community. She's involved in Friends of the Public Garden and is on the committee that runs the annual Green and White Ball, which was on that night, on that evening. She received texts when she was at the end of the night at the ball from the restaurant. They needed her for something. She went by the restaurant with her friends from the ball. They were dressed up dressed up for a ball. She and her partner and a couple and a few friends went by. They ordered wine before last call, which was at 11. Last call was at 11 p.m. And all of the other patrons were cleared out of the restaurant at that time. After 11:30 p.m., all of the patrons have to be cleared out of the restaurant. Last call is at 11. And at 11:30 p.m., all of the other patrons were out of the restaurant. They weren't serving alcohol after hours. They were not entertaining patrons. It was she and her friends. It was a mistake they made. They shouldn't have been in the restaurant. But they stopped by. She was dealing with an issue with the restaurant. They stopped by and were just standing around at the bar chatting. They still had wine on the bar. And when the police officers came into the restaurant at, I believe, at 12:25, they were called, I believe, they were responding to a call on 311. They asked them all to leave and they left. That's my understanding. The restaurant, there was music still playing. They do not play loud music in this restaurant for a number of reasons because, which I'll get into in one moment. They're very careful about how they're running this restaurant. It's a very well-run restaurant. It's a very tight ship in things like music, bringing the trash out, when to get patrons out of the restaurant, last call. All of these issues are something that they take very seriously at this restaurant. Now, this incident on April 20th was an anomaly. There were never people in the restaurant after 11:30 except for staff normally just cleaning and breaking down the restaurant. It's a tight ship. And what they have is they've worked really hard to be respectful of the neighbors and sensitive to the neighbors in the neighborhood. We submitted, they have an issue that they're having a problem with. We submitted to this board yesterday evening, a 10-day harassment order that was taken out against a neighbor who is constantly going into the restaurant. Attached to the harassment order with the BMC was also an affidavit of Kristen Jenkins of everything they're going through in the restaurant. The relevance of this harassment order, the reason I submitted it to this board, is to show that we were in court for this BMC to extend the harassment order at the BMC. The resident testified that he's constantly calling the police. He doesn't want a restaurant there. He's constantly calling the police. He's constantly calling the ABC. He calls 311. And the reason that's relevant here is the police are coming by all the time at this restaurant. They're driving by in their car. And if this was something that they were doing in this restaurant, operating after hours, inviting people into the restaurant after hours, serving alcohol, there would be 100 of these violations before the court right now, because this person has the restaurant under a microscope. He's going up with his iPhone, taking photos inside the windows at night, making sure they're not serving after hours. He's harassing my client.
I just want to focus on Saturday, April 20th.
I understand, but this is relevant to that. So we've admitted, I just want you to understand that this is an anomaly. They should not have been still standing in the restaurant. They weren't operating after hours on April 20th. They were standing around with some of their friends after hours, after the ball, and they shouldn't have been in there. They were not serving patrons. They were not operating after hours as a bar or a restaurant. So this is a restaurant that has been running as a very tight ship. It's been very strict about all these rules. They made a mistake here. They should not have been inside the restaurant. They acknowledged that, and they left as soon as the police came.
The registers were closed out also, so I can show you that if need be, that we were not serving patrons. I was there with a couple of my friends that were at the ball with me who live in the neighborhood, and we were walking home and they stopped in with me. I was the one it was me and my 4 friends. It wasn't patrons of the restaurant, but I wasn't given that opportunity that evening because there was so much yelling and craziness that we left. It was sort of scary, to be honest.
Okay, I'm just gonna go back to the police report for a second. Detective Hernandez and Sergeant Gallagher responded to a complaint. They showed up. They wrote in their police report that they could hear music coming in from inside as they walked into the establishment, and they noticed patrons still drinking alcoholic beverages. So you're saying, Ms. Jenkins, that was you and your friends?
Correct. And the music, I admit the music was on, but you can please go in anytime. It's very, very low. We play a Sirius channel called Restaurant Background Music. It's not like no one's stabbing anyone, no one's choke holding anyone. It's like quiet. The music was on, I fully admit that. And that was
okay. So when detectives brought this to the attention of Mr. Maxwell Kouros, you didn't identify yourself as the owner. You just
I was honestly scared. I thought like there was like something bigger happening. Like it was like jarring. And I just said, let's go. And we left and we were standing outside. And then they came outside and said, you can't stand on the sidewalk. You need to leave. You need to leave. You can't stand on the sidewalk. It was like, my significant other was inside handling it with Max. And I was waiting for him to walk home. I had high heels on. I was like just standing there waiting. And it was like yelling and it was sort of scary. I was like, I didn't even understand what was going on, to be honest.
Okay. You do understand as a restaurant owner that you are subject to spontaneous and unannounced inspections?
Please, it's totally fine. Come by anytime. I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong. I run a very tight ship.
Okay.
I'm happy to have anyone come by, but it's just the pounding on the door and it was like a movie. It was like.
Was the door locked?
Used. No, and it should have been. I fully admit I didn't. If I felt like I was doing something wrong, I would have locked the door and closed the, you know what I mean? But like, it wasn't.
Okay, and so Ms. Jenkins, just for future, you are listed as a manager of record at this establishment. You need to identify yourself to the police when you're there as the manager of record. You can't just.
Now I know that. Oh, and I didn't know that at the time. I wasn't sure. I promise you, I'm sure, I know my neighbor calls the police and 311 constantly. So I promise you, if and when it happens again, I promise you I will identify myself. But I didn't realize why they were there. I thought it was like a drug bust of my employees. I was honestly so confused because it was so dramatic that I was just like, let's leave. I didn't know what was happening.
Detective or sergeant, was the door locked when you arrived?
No, ma'am. The door was not locked. We didn't see this woman there. She clearly didn't identify herself. The man that did identify himself in the police report is stated to be her fiance and was telling us that she was gonna be mad that this was happening, because I don't think she was there. We
I was,
didn't yell-
I was there. I had a
No.
long ball gown on. I can
That's-
prove it. I have
Can I
cameras.
speak,
I can prove it. Actually, I have cameras.
Can I finish, please?
Sure.
We didn't yell at anybody. We told them that they shouldn't hang around out front here because people were calling. They told us they were waiting for an Uber, and we left before them. There was no
Probably
yelling.
didn't help that they were all very drunk.
Yeah, they'd come from somewhere else. It's quite evident.
Yeah, we were.
If you want to
Right
submit the
call.
video, if you want to submit the video to the board, we will consider it.
Absolutely. I was no.
And I've never known the licensed premise unit to be aggressive and yelling. You're in a residential neighborhood. They're responding to complaints. I would imagine they're trying to clear the front door.
But respectfully, Madam Commissioner, my client did testify that she left. When the police wanted everyone to leave, she left. So she left and her friends left. They left immediately. And they went out to get an Uber and the police told them to move. They didn't want them outside, so they left there too. So they took the instructions from the police that everyone had to get out and they left.
Yeah, they were part of I'm assuming they were the group that was inside, but they were there when we got there, sir.
I was
And they're the group that walked outside and was waiting outside for the gentleman to close the door. So she was there, they were all there, and they walked outside.
I was there and I walked out, and then Max, my GM, and Aaron were just you know what I mean? Like just closing up, talking to you. I admit I was there. I'm not denying that. I can show you on camera. I was not drunk. I don't drink much, and to accuse me of being drunk is sort of offensive.
I just said the group was drunk, and, you know, 'cause that's what we
I
encountered.
don't know who was drunk. I mean, that's
Well,
really
your fiance was definitely drunk. I dealt with him the most, and he couldn't even.
fine. I'm not, that's maybe
That was part of the issue. He couldn't even
Go after
really
him.
communicate with him.
Can I ask Detective Hernandez a question?
You may.
Did they leave when you asked them to leave, Detective Hernandez?
I didn't speak to them to leave. I was dealing with her fiance, sir.
But did the people leave?
But they eventually did, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Chairman, does any further questions?
I have no questions. I don't know about Commissioner Saxon or Commissioner Curran.
I mean, maybe in the way more of a statement. I mean, we've dealt with this before and it really hasn't been stated very clearly here, and I just want to be clear. There's no friends and family exception to the closing time. Right?
So do I have to be, what time do I have to be out? I guess I just need to.
The only people
I have to be
who
out,
be
but the
beyond the
rest-
closing time are employees who are working to shut down the business for the night. And
Am I allowed
they only get as much time as they need to, you know, clean up and be out of there. Everything that needs to be buttoned up that evening. You know, big projects should be done the next day.
There's no big projects, but it is cleaning.
No,
so
I'm just saying, you can't be there 3 hours after and claiming that you're just cleaning up.
We weren't, it was 12:30, we closed at 11, everyone, it
Yeah,
was.
and no music, no drinking, working. That's it.
Mhm.
No friends and family, no employees who are off duty, hanging out and you know, basically having a good time with other people that are working all around them. It's just workers.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I can just add to that, Mr. Curran.
Yeah.
I've gone over this with the manager. They understand it. We've gone through this in detail, the importance of this. I can tell you this restaurant is running about as strictly as any restaurant could run right now.
Okay, thank you.
As far as compliance to those rules.
Commissioner Saxon, anything?
No questions. I'll wait for the video. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Richards, Ms. Jenkins, if there are videos that you would like the board to consider, you may please submit those to licensingboard@boston.gov, or you can drop off a physical thumb drive to room 809 at City Hall. Make sure those get to the commissioners. The record will stay open until the end of the day tomorrow, as the board is set to vote Thursday morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The board will take this under advisement.
Thank you, everyone.
Calling item number 4, Reservoir Wines and Spirits, Inc., doing business as Reservoir Wines and Spirits, located at 1922 Beacon Street in Brighton. Date of the incident, April 25th, 2024. Service to persons under 21 years of age in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Sections 3434A, 41, 64, 64A, and Board's Rule 1.08F. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Morning.
George Favon is the owner.
George, I'll Morning, Attorney Green. Chairman Joyce, Commissioners Curran and Saxon, Attorney Stephen Miller, McDermott, Quilty and Miller. I have with me George Havanas, who's the owner, and Anthony Havanas, his son, who's the manager of record.
Thank you. We do see both Mr. Havanas on our screen. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I am Detective Hernandez.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, if need be.
Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Detective Hernandez, you may please proceed with the police report.
Good morning. I'm again reading from a police report, which I wrote on Thursday, April 25th, 2024. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned of the BPD license from Winter Reservoir Wine and Spirits. Detectives were there to monitor the sale of alcohol to underage patrons at all liquor stores. While parked in front of the liquor store, detectives observed two males later identified as Lucas Kelleher Sarmiento and Pedro Santos Guimarães walk out of the store with multiple bottles of alcohol. Detectives observed these males at young, asked them to produce identification to confirm their ages. Initially, both males stated they were over 21 years of age and produced Florida driver's licenses showing that they were over 21 years of age. The provided licenses did not appear to look like the two males. On further investigation, it's determined that Mr. Kelleher Sarmiento did have in his possession a valid Florida driver's license belonging to his friend Inaki Clavel. Mr. Santos Guimarães did have in his possession a valid Florida driver's license belonging to his friend Luke Fitzenwalder. The driver's licenses were presented to detectives were confiscated. Mr. Kelleher Sarmiento and Mr. Santos Guimarães will be summoned to the court for misuse of an ID document for person of 21 plus of alcohol. Mr. Clavel and Mr. Fitzenwalder will be summoned to court for assisting person on 21 purchase alcohol by allowing their friends use their driver's licenses. Detectives brought this to the attention of the person in charge of the establishment, Mr. Wilfred McAuliffe. Mr. McAuliffe stated that both males appeared to be the person on the licenses. As a result of what detectives observed, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license first in section 019628 for sale of alcohol to persons under 21 years of age. Mr. Wilfred signed for accepted minutes. That's all.
Thank you. Attorney Miller, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, Detective, just a couple of quick questions. Did Mr. McAuliffe cooperate with you?
Yes, sir.
And this isn't important, but did you notice prior to discovering these two underage that immediately prior there was another young man that was denied a sale? Could you see that from, and I understand that you have a million things going on and you're in 20 places a night or whatever, so
well, if he came out with no alcohol, then we wouldn't have noticed that. We were watching them. We were outside, so we couldn't see what was happening inside.
Okay, all right, it's not important. Madam Chair, Commissioners, Mr. Messrs Havanas with me, George Havanas and his son Anthony, who's the manager of record. Mr. Havanas has owned this store for 36 years. I think over the 36 years he's had, he may have been before the board twice on issues, certainly nothing in the last 10 or 12 years that I'm aware of, maybe longer. He understands that he's in a college area and that they understand their responsibility being in a college area. They have good training policy. They have protocols in place to make sure things like this happen. The protocols, the clerk is supposed to look at the ID and the picture and then look at the person. Supposed to compare the picture to the person. He then is supposed to scan the ID. In this particular instance, our employee was 0 for 3 on all the protocols. This employee has been there working with us for more than a couple of years, has been a good employee. His only response to us is that there was another young man that came in right before this with an expired Florida ID and said, and was denied service. And he said, all my friends, they're 21, they'll be in. So this employee disregarded the protocols in place, and this is why we're in front of you today. Obviously, my clients are upset about it. They work so hard to have a clean record. They have sat with this employee and all their other employees to remind them that it doesn't make any difference what the stories are, because they should be used to the stories that people under 21 come up with on a regular basis. It doesn't make any difference what they say. Let's, go through the protocols and and honor the system that they've put in place that's been successful for all these years. They're both here and they're to answer any questions that you may have. And once again, they apologize for being here, and they do understand their responsibility in an area near Boston College. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Miller. Chairwoman Joyce, any questions?
Thank you. I don't have any questions at this time.
Commissioner Curran, Commissioner Saxon?
None from me, thank you.
No questions from me. Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And calling item number 5, Whiskey Town LLC, doing business as The Quiet Few, located at 331 Sumner Street in East Boston. Date of the incident, May 24th, 2024. Overcrowding, 49-person capacity. House count 76, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.03J and 1.06A and F. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning again, Kristen Scanlon for the licensee, and with us this morning as well as the owner of The Quiet View, Josh Weinstein.
Thank you very much. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher.
Thank you, Sergeant Detective. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify?
Detective Hernandez is needed.
Thank you. Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Sergeant Detective Gallagher, if you could please read the police report into the record for us.
Yes, good morning. I'll be reading the Boston Police Incident Report that I wrote on 5/24/2024 at 11:10 p.m. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to the licensed premise unit, conducted a licensed premise inspection of the Quiet Few at 331 Sumner Street. As detectives entered the premise, they observed it to be crowded, with patrons standing in the aisle, making it difficult to pass. Detectives inquired with the doorman as to the counting capacity of the premise. The doorman responded that the capacity was 49 persons and there were currently 76 persons inside. Detectives conducted a quick count to confirm the doorman's count. Detectives informed the doorman to hold the door till the count dropped to the listed capacity. Detectives then spoke to the person in charge, Ms. Jackie Lell, informing her of their findings. Ms. Lell stated that she would bring the premise into compliance. As a result, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued a licensed premise inspection notice number 021931 to the Quiet Few for overcrowding, 49-person capacity. House count detectives count 76 persons. Ms. Lell signed for and accepted the notice. Those are the facts.
Thank you very much. Attorney Scanlon, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, Sergeant Detective Gallagher, while you were at the licensed premises, was Ms. Lell and the doorman cooperative with you at all times?
Yes, ma'am, they were.
And you said they gained the premises back into compliance?
We had left prior to that. They had some people to get out. We just informed them not to let anyone else in. Not that the night was winding down, but there were people that were starting to possibly finish up. There was a line outside. We instructed them, don't let anyone else in. Just let it bleed out, get it down to 49 and you'll be okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Madam Chair, members of the board, if I may proceed with some questions for Mr. Weinstein. Josh, to your knowledge, how many staff were on that evening?
About 6 or 7.
And where were they stationed?
two behind the bar back going through, one at the door, and 1 to 2 in the kitchen.
Were you there that evening?
I was not.
Where were you?
I was at Small Victories in South Boston, which we had opened about 10 nights before.
When did you first learn of this incident on that occurred on May 24th?
Immediately after it happened, Jackie let me know.
What did you find out?
I found out that we received a capacity violation. We halted back and forth for that night, and re-upped the conversation the next day. But that night, the conversation was that we had a capacity violation. Door person had let in a large group at once, and that they were rectifying the situation and letting people out.
Did you speak to the employee who was working the door following that incident?
Yes, I did.
And what were the details of that conversation?
I asked him what he was thinking, and I inquired, I let him know that, my time is being spent at a new location, and do I need to come back and make sure that we can be appropriate here. I spoke to him about if he's been with us for a while. He's been with us since before COVID. I was stern in my discussion with him, and after we talked about why the situation happened, I told him that this was absolutely the last time anything like this happened, and if it happened again, he would no longer be employed with us.
So was any disciplinary action taken against him?
Not necessarily. There were some changes to his schedule, but I didn't take him off the door.
How many staff members do you have total at this location?
20-ish between part-time and full-time.
Following this incident, what follow-up occurred with staff to emphasize avoidance of this issue in the future?
We had a staff meeting with both houses. I sent an email to all employees about this. That was the first immediate response.
And any changes made in particular to door staff at this location going forward?
Yes, we've increased weekend hours, that we have somebody on the door, and we used to have door staff 4 nights a week. Now we have door staff every night of the week.
What are the weekend hours that you have door staff?
5 p.m. till close.
And have you emphasized to staff that staff is included in your
Yes.
occupancy number?
1,000%.
And what do you do when you are at capacity?
We hold a line. The line goes in front of the large window towards Cottage. We've also, the other thing we've discussed in capacity, because it's patio season 2, where the other big change that we've made is we've sort of internally lowered our capacity to address people on the patio who might be needing to use the bathroom.
Anything else further you want to add regarding this alleged violation for the board?
No, I think we covered everything. That numbers include staff. We've added a lot of communication during shifts. We make sure that we're constantly communicating, when if there's 3 or 4 people working in the kitchen, when people are cut, when people leave, so we can account, and, staff coming on a weekend, making sure that door is, and everybody understands exactly how many people are in and who's leaving, who's about to leave, who's coming in, who just came in. All of that. We drove home about 1 in, 1 out, and just because one person comes leaves, doesn't mean that the group of two that's waiting in line can come in. It is one in, one out. We talked about just, our need to really trust staff and make sure that I can count on staff while I'm seeing a second location, and how important public safety is with all this. And we've also discussed possible ways to rectify this for us. We are in the fortunate place of constantly having a line. So we've started to also talk to architects and contractors about possible ways that we can hopefully increase our capacity. And we've got plans in the works, and I'm speaking to a contractor about how we do have a second egress through the kitchen. And we're hoping to find a way to create a path that doesn't go through the kitchen, so that patrons can use that, and hopefully that can increase our capacity.
Thank you. Anything further?
On a personal note, I'm just really bummed to be here, especially after the conversation we had not only 2 years ago, but also when we came forth for a second liquor license for our location in South Boston, and how supportive the board was. I'm just really disappointed.
Thank you. With that, we'll see if there are any questions from the board at this time. Chairwoman Joyce.
Thanks, I have no questions.
Commissioner Curran, Commissioner Saxon.
Was Miss Jackie Lell the person you had left in charge on the evening?
Yes, Jackie Wells.
Okay. How come she didn't realize that you were more than 50% over capacity?
The group, as I'm told, the group that came in was all at once, and it wasn't cleared between door and the bar. She has also been spoken to about this. The way where the door is in relation to the bar, I can only assume that the group came in pretty quickly and was sort of thrown in front of her.
She was bartending, so she probably wouldn't have been able to notice all these people coming in. Could be a reason.
Okay, it's just like one room, right?
Yes.
Okay, and am I wrong to assume that the place, as far as the crowd, looks significantly different between 49 people and 76?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I mean, I've said this in the past, so I'll just say it to you. Everyone who works in there has to be empowered to say, like, hey, there's too many people in here, this is crazy. And speak up about it. Especially the person you left in charge, but just anyone, because, this isn't 2 people over, this is 150 something percent.
You're correct.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
I can't recall. Do you guys use clickers? A clicker or two?
Yes, we do.
No? Okay, just make sure you're on top of it.
Yep.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, the board will take this matter under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
These are all the items before the board this morning. That will adjourn this morning's hearing. The board will convene to vote on Thursday, July 11th at 10 a.m. Thank you all, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Good day.